It's our first edition of Frontier Opening Bell this week. I'm Temple Ashaju. Thank you for joining us on the show. With us on the program this morning, we've got Ali Segar of Segar and Associates joining us from Dubai. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning. We have as well Akintunde Suleiman, research analyst with Greenwich Merchant Bank, right there in Nigeria, and of course, Bosin Omofaye, executive editor for Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the show this morning. Let's bring you up to speed with how the market settled last week and remind you of their status just before they open again today. Nigeria was negative weekly. That's week to date by 1.66%. Ivory Coast, the BRVM stock exchange there, slipped by 0.44% on Friday. And Egypt, which represents the Egyptian stock exchange, was positive on a weekly basis, 0.17%. Kenya, representing the Nairobi Stock Exchange, was up 0.98%, while Johannesburg Stock Exchange in the Southern African market was also positive 0.79% as of Friday. Now, moving on to the headlines, we've got from the eastern part of Africa, the Nairobi Stock Exchange now migrates to a new broker network platform, and that is in partnership with Safaricom. Sasini full year 2020 profits report came in at 12.6 million shillings. Of course, there's a 1,364 job cuts there. Ethiopia has got new multiple policies to stop Birr US dollar sharp decline, and of course, Stanbic Kenya has got marathon queen Bridget Kosgei as the new brand ambassador for a 2-year period. Bosin, you're the man I'll bring in to talk to us about these headlines from the southern part of Africa. You want to have a go first with the Nairobi Stock Exchange now partnering Safaricom to migrate to a new network.
I think that was one good news for Kenya, and I'm sure Akintunde knows how they, you know how the Nigeria Stock Exchange also worked over the years, working with NASDAQ, OMX in the US to have the best trading platform. Safaricom has proved itself to be a king of telecommunication in Africa, a very truly indigenous, 100% indigenous telecommunication giant in East Africa. So the Nairobi Securities Exchange partnering with Safaricom makes it a whole lot better. They are both Kenyan, and they can also keep the money, whatever this transaction is, the currency part of it, they can keep it within the country. And I think that's one thumbs up for Safaricom. And I think I want to see more of this happen across African countries in which the exchanges partner with the local and domestic fintech, whatever firms, to try and get a sense of what is being done. So it's one good news of there. Again, the second story I want to touch on has to do with Ethiopia, with the multiple policies which have been introduced to try and get the currency up to speed with the US dollar. Look, every stock exchanges, that news came from the Ministry of Finance. Every stock exchanges or every currency, every central bank right now is trying to see whatever they can do to ensure that, yes, they can get their currency up and running. No one wants to leave anything to chance. Nigeria is battling this left, right, and center. I think it's a whole lot of work for central bankers around the world right now. Zambia with IMF loans. Zambia has been able to work its way around with the IMF to come up with this particular loan, which will help. Zambia has been fighting some of the, what do you call it? Some of the mining companies. There's a problem with Glencore. There's another problem with Vedanta, which are into copper and whatever. Now it looks like those problems are being resolved, and now they can get the IMF. August election will be very crucial this year for the administration of Edgar Lungu.
Yeah, but on what basis are they likely to get that loan? Because as you know, the problem that the multilateral financial institutions tend to have with African governments is the fact that sometimes when they give them or they disburse loans at this point, they tend to use that loan, to fund the election.
Of course, the conditions are going to be really tough with the IMF. IMF is not going to, like the World Bank, they're not giving anybody any dime without a very long string to it. So I'm sure the conditions will be very tough. The IMF don't want Zambia to go the way of Zimbabwe in terms of falling in love with Russia and China, as it were. So the IMF will come in a little bit, see some ways in which they can work with the Edgar Lungu's administration, and from there, see how they can improve things moving forward.
Right, great. Let's just hope that that won't turn out to be the same case that they had recently with Congo, one of the Congos actually, where they had to actually, is it the World Bank that now has to cancel the loan due to some level of corruption, in the service. Moving on to the Western African market, the central bank bars some regulated institutions from dealing in cryptocurrencies. Briclinks Africa is now listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange's growth board. You have Ecobank planning a global DCM, that's debt capital market, raising some $300 million in senior notes. Ghana's total exports shrunk by some 7.8% to $14.5 billion in 2020. And in Cote d'Ivoire, you've got the Tongon mining producing some 8.076 tons of gold for the calendar year 2020. Let me bring you in, Akintunde Suleiman, to speak to this ban on cryptocurrency. This is something that really rattles the markets and rattles the news wire in the last 24 to 48 hours in Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you, Tempo. The weekend was all about cryptocurrency discussions and the impact of CBN's decision on this. If you go back to somewhat around 2017, the CBN released a circular to the deposit money banks, saying that they should be cautious and stay away from the cryptocurrencies. Somewhat around 2018, something similar was released or was published, and now the CBN has outrightly said that, you know what, just keep off. And this we can associate with the CBN's concerns about anonymity of this sort of assets, and as well the deregulatory, the decentralized nature of the assets. And from the anonymity part, CBN is concerned about funding terrorism and all sort of protest, and as well from the decentralized part, you say that it's all about monetary control and monetary policy. But for me, I think what CBN is more concerned about is the demand this has brought to the FX market. Because if you see the exchanges that have been popping up in Nigeria and in Africa generally, there's the chance for you to deposit your funds in Naira, and these exchanges then go about purchasing the USD to buy those coins on your behalf, or those assets on your behalf. So this puts further constraint and further demand to the black market, and has increased pressure in the black market. I assume that this is what the CBN is mostly concerned about, because this has increased the demand in the black market, and they're trying it because for the past 1 year, to be very candid, CBN has all been about FX and trying to battle FX. So the FX strategies is what I feel the CBN is more into here than those other concerns, because the concerns generally in terms of anonymity and the decentralization of the asset is generic. It's not just peculiar to Nigeria. So every economy is battling with it. But the outright ban, not even being cautious again, not advising banks and investors generally to stay away from it, and outright proclaimment to the banks to say that, you know what, block every account of anybody that is dealing with this. That is a bit ambiguous at this point, because we don't even know if it's the exchanges account that they want to be blocked, or it's you and I that have actually bought or sold at some point. Yeah, so will I be restricted from doing my banking activities now? Is a bit shaky, or is it just for the exchanges? So for me, I think it's more of the pressure in the black market. Also, the impact of this would simply mean that most of these players in the cryptocurrency market will just find an alternative market, probably go to neighboring countries to open settlement accounts and all that, and so they can keep on doing their transaction. What the CBN has just successfully done is push out more money out of the Nigerian market and take it to subsequent market. But this then puts to the question that we saw SEC and the SEC somewhat in Q4 last year bringing out the or making a statement that this is under their purview. Cryptocurrencies and crypto assets is under their purview, and they'll be releasing a regulatory framework. But with the procurement of CBN, or the directive of CBN on Friday, or with the publishment of the procurement of CBN on Friday, this then puts to question the statement of SEC somewhat last year. So we're looking for more direction into that. We'll be expecting more clarity on that. For Ecobank, I mean, it's expected. We've been expecting corporates to plunge into the market this year, looking at the low rates that is prevailing in the market. So it's no surprise, and we're expecting that more corporates will as well come into the market, because we are expecting a lot of liquidity in the system this year, and that we expect should not just be, taken by the government. We're expecting some corporate guys as well to come into the market to pick on these funds. To talk about Ghana's exports quickly, is understandable. In fact, I feel it's a bit mild, because and this is so because Ghana has some sort of diversification in their exports. Unlike a lot of oil exporting countries, for example, Nigeria, Angola, I feel our export to be largely it. Compared to what Ghana has achieved. Ghana's decline is majorly due to oil exports, which dragged total export by about 1.6 million, or there, about almost 1.6 billion. So that put a large constraint. Looking at gold and cocoa on the other hand, gold prices of gold spiked about 25% last year compared to 2019, and cocoa spiked about 2.5% in 2020 compared to 2019. So those two commodities actually improved exports, and unlike Brent, they actually dragged exports. So at the long run, there was a nil oil effect from oil and gold than cocoa. Unlike Nigeria and Angola, we're expecting a bigger drag because the production quota and as well the large plunge in oil prices are expecting to pull back exports largely compared to what we saw in Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you for all of this deep insights, Akintunde Suleiman. Great. Now, Ali, let me pick your brain on the global apprehension that it looks like central banks around the world are beginning to have around cryptocurrencies, crypto assets.
Yes, it's very interesting, because we see two main, two main issues on the cryptocurrencies. The first one, some banks in Africa are really, fond of currency. So they want to develop the cryptocurrency and all this kind of stuff. And after you have also some doubts and some risks, some country even forbid this kind of currency because they are afraid that it damages the local currency. So you have the case, for example, in North Africa, mostly in Algeria, little bit in Tunisia and in Libya, of course, that they totally forbid this type of digital currency, in fact. So, but at the end, it's the future. So I don't know if you can really stop the innovation by the regulation and all these kind of things. And perhaps people, even if you put strong regulation, they will go to this kind of new currency.
Thank you so much. Bosun, do you have any contrary opinion to all of this?
Well, I don't have a contrary opinion. What I want to clarify a little bit on the Nigerian situation was that I had an interview with the Director of Payment System for Management for Nigeria Central Bank on a radio show this morning. And I think to clarify further, there are a few issues, and I spoke with a few folks in the industry. The central bank is worried first about how diaspora remittances are being diverted through cryptocurrencies. And I think that's one genuine concern, the central bank. We're talking about 22 billion US dollar diaspora remittances. As soon as the central bank issued rules recently or last month that all remittances should be paid to end users in foreign currencies, what the central bank noticed was that these folks now, instead of routing the remittances to Nigeria, they started using it to trade into cryptocurrency assets, and it keeps going away out of the country. Now, for a country like Nigeria that has 20 billion in diaspora remittances, if that money is not coming into the country, Nigeria's fiscal balance is getting a whole lot more very dicey and very critical. For example, if I'm to receive $1,000 in remittance from abroad, for example, and I divert about $800 out of it into cryptocurrency trading, for example, and I have only $200 or $100 of $1,000. So if I'm to buy 1,000 bags of cement to do whatever works here in Nigeria, and I buy only 10 bags of cement, that will go to impact Dangote Cement, Boa Cement, and others. So the whole lot of socio-economic impact positively that diaspora remittances have had over the last years and decades for Nigeria is beginning to be eroded by this fact that the IMTOs and those who are recipients have started using these dollars to trade. This is their legitimate right. Don't get me wrong. I have the right to do whatever I like with my remittance, okay? Because it's my money. So I can do whatever I like with it. So central bank or Nigerian government cannot stop me from doing whatever I have to do with my remittances. But as a concern from the central bank, and I think the Nigerian government at the federal level, that these remittances are now going into crypto trading globally, such that the volume from Nigeria is rising so much, and that's one problem. So the second point that the central bank director spoke about was the fact that the central bank is now saying do not trade, but the cryptocurrency exchanges that are not registered either with the SEC or licensed by the central bank cannot be allowed and will not be allowed within the Nigerian banking system. That's what the central bank has closed. So they say, look, if you're a crypto exchange and you have dealers or those who are trading in Nigeria, sorry, we cannot have you within our banking system. Don't come in here because you're not licensed by us and you are not registered by us. And I think this is important. If you remember very well, and Akintoye and Sempa, I know you know this, you cannot trade as a foreign stockbroking firm in the Nigerian stock market. You have to come through a licensed broker, locally speaking. You can't come as big as you are in the United States, whether you are Goldman Sachs or you are Ameritrade or whatever. You can't trade on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. You can't take money and go into the Nigerian system. You have to use a local broker on the ground to do this business. I think the same rule is now being applied by the CBN, something closer that say, look, you are not registered, you are not licensed in Nigeria. We don't know where you are. You could be based anywhere. But we want you to either be registered with us or licensed by us, then we can include you within our financial ecosystem. I hope that point is clear to everyone. If you are not registered or licensed within the ecosystem, sorry, we can't allow you to facilitate cryptocurrency because we don't know you. The same way the stock exchange would not allow you to trade within the system or do planning of trade on stocks on Nigerian Stock Exchange if you are not licensed or registered by either the central bank or the Securities and Exchange Commission. I think I'll just leave that for now.
I get a sense of what the Central Bank of Nigeria is trying to do. It's similar to what the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK has done. I mean, here, you can't actually make do with proceeds of Bitcoin and other crypto assets at all. It's something that, so it's basically trying to sanitize the terrain. Well, for the sake of time, let's move on to the Southern African market, where this MTN South Africa has now given some kind of a guidance around its expectations around its profits or financial earnings for 2020, given an outlook saying that the EPS, earnings per share, is going to climb between 75 and 95%. That should be between 888 cents to 900 and something cents for 2020 year, the 2020 calendar year. Coca-Cola sale of some 30% to local non-white South Africa was around 10 billion rands. Then in Sibanye, which is a mining company, sees its profits, around 28.72 million rands for the 2020 calendar year. You also have the First National Bank, profit before tax dipped from 20% to 25% for 2020-2021 calendar year. And of course, on Zimbabwe, Zera, the energy regulator, they announces fuel price increase, something that I'm sure that just as we have in Nigeria will also be causing a bit of uproar or brouhaha at this point in time. Bossing, you're the man to bring in on these headlines again, starting with the MTN South Africa, because again, we know that they have links with Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, even though we know that that of Nigeria is now being listed on NSE.
Maybe I'll allow Akintoye to speak to MTN because it's also listed in Nigeria. But yeah, for me, we spoke with one economist and business analyst from Zimbabwe on Thursday last week, and the whole issue is still about those sanctions by the West, by Briclinks threatened by the United States. They're still crying over that. There's still a lot of problem. They're not getting as much easy funding or free flow of cash they would have gotten from the West. So they've gone to China, they've gone to Russia. But you see, China and Russia don't have those deep pockets or very generous with money, as it were, as the Western powers would want. So the administration of President Mnangagwa is in a very difficult situation right now. So fuel prices have to go up in Zimbabwe. Coca-Cola are selling about 30% or so to non-white. This is in compliance with the Black Empowerment, Black Economic Empowerment BE program, which started many years ago. This means that workers of Coca-Cola in South Africa will be able to be part owners of the company. And I think that's one great news from South Africa. Then Sibanye, when you talk about the profit for the miners, I think they've had a very good year so far. Last year, this morning, gold prices is still now above $1,800. Silver is still around $26, $27 an ounce. So everyone is looking, even oil is crossed $60 a barrel. I don't know when we'll have an invitation for a party from Nigerian authorities to say, well, Bosi, you and your folks, step everybody, come around, invite Ali, let's party because the budget benchmark is $40 and here is crude oil at $60. We have $20 bonus and let's have some nice time. I'm waiting for my IV, by the way, if I'll be invited.
Well, Bosin, you've got the gift already. Petrol price in Nigeria at 190 naira per liter. Akitunde, let me come back to you. Bosin has discounted the MTN South Africa's headline for you. I mean, what is there to know when you look at the fact that the MTN Nigeria is now listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange? And here, given the contributions from other regions, they're expecting their earnings per share to jump by about 95%.
Well, 95% is quite optimistic, but I think it makes a bit of sense. If you look at operations in Ghana, the cedis appreciated against the dollar for the year 2020 by about 12%. So I think they are riding on that, and as well because the extended lockdown across every economy increased demand for services in the telecommunication sector generally, and since they would not be battling a whole lot of devaluation like we saw in Airtel Africa, I think they are better off. But attaining 95%, I think is a little bit optimistic. I think it's a little bit optimistic if you ask me.
Great. Now we move on to the Northern African market as we wrap up the show. Northern African market. I think significant for us here is that the Morocco story, where Moody's now revises Morocco's outlook to negative from stable, and Tunisia inflation has now stabilized more for the third month consecutively. We've got the inflation unchanged at 4.9%, and now 4.9% for January, beside other corporate stories that we have. Let me bring in Ali here to give us a sense of his understandings of these headlines.
Yes, so I will start with Morocco, in fact, and the Moody's, we can say, rating for Morocco coming from, we can say, from stable to negative. It's a really bad news for Morocco, to be honest, and a very bad indicators. It shows first that we can say the tax income from the Morocco government has decreased a lot with the COVID-19. So you have less and less income coming from the tourist sectors and all this to the, we can say, to the government. There is also some support given by the government, we can say, to the SMEs and some big companies in Morocco. So it has damaged a lot, we can say, the tax capacity of Morocco, because you increase your spending and the incomes are decreasing. So this is one of the main issues. It's on Morocco. And if the situation is still the same or will be the same for the next few months, it will be even worse for Morocco. So this is the first news for Morocco. After the good news, it's for Tunisia. We can say the inflation rate is quite stable. So it's really good news because I think the Central Bank of Tunisia has done an amazing job to stabilize the economy. Tunisia is quite a weak country in terms of, we can say, industry, agriculture, export, and all this kind of stuff. So to see this inflation coming to this kind of level, it's quite a miracle for Tunisia. After we come back also to Egypt. So Egypt, it's two things. First of all, this is, we can say, the over, this is Sarwa and Misr Capital. We can say it has been 3 times overbought. So it's a kind of good news also for the Egyptian market. It means that we can say people trust this market first. They are ready to invest in this market, and perhaps also it shows that there is not enough, we can say, offer into this market. Because if you have a fund 3 times, we can say, oversubscribed, there is perhaps also an issue to, we can say, to the offer on this market. So this is one of the issues that we can raise on the, we can say, Egyptian market. It's good for Sarah Misr Capital, but it's perhaps not good on the Egyptian market in total. Perhaps they need to push more company to put more, we can say, subscription. After the real estate, and I will come to the pharma target of, we can say, 170 million Egyptian pounds for profit for Alex Pharma is quite good, you know, because I say that in the whole North Africa, the pharmaceutical market is increasing and is more and more, we can say, important and significant in these markets. We can say the only, we can say, inconvenient of this market, this is a non-mature market in all these North African countries. All these pharmaceutical companies are mostly producing generical medicine and generical drugs. They are not doing some innovation. And I think the next step will be to go to innovation and to have their own products, because as of today, they just produce some drugs produced in other countries, but just with their brand.
Thank you so much, Ali Segar, for your insights on all these headlines. Really appreciated. We have now come to the end of the show. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the show. Ali Segar of Segar Associates, appreciate your insights. Akintunde Suleiman, research analyst with Greenwich Merchant Bank. Thank you so much for your analysis. And Bosin Omofaye, our executive editor at Frontier Africa Reports. Thanks a great deal for joining us on the show. This has been Frontier Opening Bell. I'm Temple Ashaju. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.